Good morning. Good morning. 11:22 in the evening. Well, it's like 11:22 in the morning for me. But hey, it's Drewski. How you doing? This is episode 37 of the $9 podcast. An offshoot of the TalkNShop media empire, quote unquote media empire. That one machine gun Carl Anderson has decided he wants to be the Svengali foe. It came to him. The idea of that came to him a couple months ago, where he noticed that where he encouraged people in the Falcon's Nest, which is known as the Patreon chat room, to hey, why don't you guys create your own podcast, and we'll use Patreon as like a hosting site to at least keep us to entertain the nest at least. If it happens to be good, we'll spread it out for a worldwide crowd. Basically, his idea of giving back, because being one of the OG wrestling podcasts, 12 years plus. It's an interesting, it's a cool way of giving back. It is. When you think about it, it's a real nice gesture. They don't have to do this, but the amount of talent in the community is one of the main reasons. And so many talented people in that are Patreon. We got like music producers, we have podcasters, we have computer cybersecurity people, we have police officers. We have lazy bastards who are graveyard shifts at convenience stores. That's beside the point. And all different backgrounds, but all united over the same thing. And the sense of humor is pretty much mirrors mirrors the Hoots, which is scary. The Hoots are scary enough as it is, but okay, multiply that by like about 700 people. The same mindset. The gun keeps threatening to have everybody in the nest show up to do a live TalkNShop, and that I fear for the venue that hosts it, because I don't think they're ready for 700 arena full of 700 people doing Heath Slater impressions at minimum. It's one of those things where it's like you be careful what you wish for. But to that end, the first couple podcasts that are primarily Falcon's Nest exclusive are about to go live, are about to go national, and they're about to go national. The first of them being a group of fellows known as the Grunt Gang, and it involves like DJ Dominguez, Darren, Mel, two of the four help in the production of the TalkNShop podcasts, and Tony the Fall Down Man. And basically, that will be a recap show of what happens in the nest during the week, more or less, on the whole, and a fair amount of ball busting. It's supposedly going to start on Sundays, right? And we'll be interesting to see the reaction it'll be interesting to see the reactions from the boys, right? Because they have their first episodes are going to be on the Believe Network. Apparently what the gun has stated is that all the podcasts that are on Falcons in the Falcon's Nest Dojo are going to get beyond Believe and on a rotational basis. But I need confirmation of this, because I thought I was hearing things. I may be like 30 something episodes in this, but I'm still a newbie, and it's news of that kind of fires me up a bit to try and do things better, and to have our brand of ridiculousness be exposed to pretty much a worldwide audience is scary. and it's humbling at the same time. You hope you find a fan base for it, because it is a niche. It is a niche audience, to be fair. But we all love the same thing. We all love wrestling and other forms of popular media. It's the thing. A lot of the podcasts aren't just wrestling related. There's like relationship, music, sports, pretty much cover the gamut. So you'll be hearing some similarities in a lot of the podcasts, but there's enough differences between all of them, all the above, that make each of them stand out. And I hope people can recognize that. So we'll see in what comes up in the future, because apparently there's like apparently in Vegas next week, the boys are going to be 6 days. 6 days in Vegas, being run ragged, basically. When you're like a pro wrestler that's not signed to WWE or one of the big ones, it's like basically you use WrestleMania week as like it's like a glorified audition. It's basically, if you have a good showing that week, it's like you'll see certain wrestlers just do multiple shows during that week, multiple promotions. It's like you create enough buzz during that week, more often than not, you'll get noticed by the big wigs and you could get a contract out of that. Years past, it was like Speedball. Speedball, Mike Bailey is very famous for doing that. He once did like 12 appearances in one week, WrestleMania week, and it built up his visibility to the part where now he's killing it in AEW. The boys supposedly have an announcement coming that they keep harping on. They said they keep leaving hints about it, saying something big, something's Falcon's Nest related. Now they're saying that we're not going to be the ones releasing it, and it might be coming out like sooner than later. Certain cynical parts of people in the Nest have already figured it has something to do with the Hall of Fame. And because the boys have been playing hardball with the alleged induction of Uncle Alan, and they haven't really announced who's going to induct Uncle Alan yet. It's up in the air. But there's been hints made by a certain hoot that leads me to believe that it's been locked, it's been settled. The thing about they're gonna be, will they be doing like a TalkNShop Live in Vegas this week? It's hard to say, because they're gonna be running around everywhere doing appearances, signings. It's bad enough that Gunn's going to be feeling it, because Vegas is, if you're a sober brother, like I've said before, if you don't drink, and you're not really a fan of gambling, 2 days is pretty much your limit, and he's going to be there for 6. You'll be going to shoot nuts by probably day 4. And I hope that doesn't happen. We'll see. Anything can happen, because WrestleMania weeks tend to be wild. And speaking of wild, it's like the last TalkNShop Live. It was supposed to be like a redoing thing of Killer Cross, but something came up that they didn't allude to, where we couldn't come on. So it's okay, whatever, pivot. And it just happened that the good brother the Blade came on, to the consternation of certain members of the Nest. You know who you are, because there's apparently an agenda I'm not even going to go there. It's very informative about the early days of Cincinnati wrestling. Like Gun and Pepper basically came up around the same time. It's really informative, and it's the good thing about Pepper is I could consider him like Ed McMahon TalkNShop, because the man laughs at the drop of a hat, and his attitude, he's always had a great attitude about this sort of stuff, and I expect to see him a lot with. Some people won't be happy about it, but he can't please everyone, and it should be interesting, because the boys were talking about since they're going to be in Japan, there's going to be guest hosts for a couple of lives coming up, possibly, which means members of the Nest might be hosting the show. Don't know who, but it's a need to know basis, and apparently we don't need to know. What I do need to know is, does do computers have it out for Doc Gallows? This has been going on for several months now, where Gallows has had nothing but problems with his computers. It's either his Wi-Fi is like runs on AOL disks, or his ghost cat chews on the wires or something, and basically changes his mic while he's not there, or he'll oversleep and miss production meetings, or a combination of all of the above, which has happened. And it's like, eventually he's going to have to get like a dedicated IT monkey and to troubleshoot his stuff 24/7, but that involves paying people. The boys have alligator arms when it comes to that. Trust me on this one. Will it be resolved? Who knows? We'll see. We will see. Yeah, it was an interesting week. Tony Khan. Yeah, this version of Tony Khan, I wish it could have been around back in time, like the brawl out. He would have handled things a lot better. Going on with Coach and Russo, who've been basically being doing the grifter thing, and basically killing them with kindness. You could hear while listening to the interview, you could hear a little bit of snark. Then the Coach trying to big league him, trying to pull the rookie thing. And saying, I have more, trying to give advice, and it's no. He knows what he's doing. It's just stay the course, and he's been killing it lately with the media stuff. Hats off to him. It's good to see. And it's also good to see that AEW is low-key building the next forbidden door with the Dynamite. It's like the introduction of the United Empire into AEW as like Ospreay's backup against the Death Riders, which led to all sorts of chaos in the main event of last Dynamite, and it wasn't even the entire United Empire, because they were missing the mayor of Las Vegas, the base Great O'Khan. If you know the lore of base Great O'Khan in Vegas, he's probably already in Vegas hitting strip clubs. That's the reason why he's based. It's because the legendary WrestleMania week he had, and it's good to see Hanari getting a pop, because Hanari's been low key putting in the work for years in New Japan. Tough souls. They're already clamoring for Claudio and Hanari to go off one-on-one. Speaking of Claudio, there was some sequences in that match where it was like, John was just ridiculous. Catching Ospreay in midair and just basically twisting him into a pretzel in midair. And then basically vertical suplex holding Hanari, going up steps and throwing him in the ring. It's like, he is still a horse. 20 plus years in, he's still a horse. And I like the subtle stuff that leads back to New Japan, because Callum Newman is the new IWGP champion, and he's Ospreay's protege. And there's a story there. There is a story there that they're slow burning, and it's only gonna make Forbidden Door even better, which is great. You know what else is great? MJ fucking F. Right? He's been on a fucking tear in media, representing AEW, right? I like this new version of this new version of MJF is a great maturation of what he was when he first started. It's like he's blending real life and kayfabe in the best way, talking people into the building while burying people at the same time. It's entertaining as hell to hear. This time he's burying, shocker, TNA, because TNA is pulling their talent out of doing like independent matches during Vegas week, because there's AEW wrestlers on the card. They don't want to, for some reason, they don't want them involved. This reminds me of like when Ring of Honor would pull talents from PWG way back in the day. That was a whole thing, right? It's not as egregious as TNA because some of the talent they pulled from like the Vegas show, they were working a tribute show, for Christ's sake, and they pull them off the how petty can you be, pull them off a tribute show, right? The Mark Hitchcock Super Show for WrestleCon. It's like, how, does not make any sense. It's like the only shining light right now in TNA is the story that they're telling with Rosemary and the resurrection of the bunny. I always, do I say that because there's a personal bias involved? Yes. I don't care. Those two together are magic. Now they brought back Abyss. It makes you intrigued in where they're going with that. That's the only really good thing that they've got going right now. That's not really saying much, but props to them for letting them be creative as hell, right? That's the way I look at it, and I'm interested to see where it goes from there. And I need to talk about this. Fuck. It's like about a month ago. Everybody remembers that story about that wrestler named Cruel, who got stabbed at a show at the Berwyn Eagles Club, and the whole locker room emptied out and commenced to beating the fuck out of a guy. Apparently, it comes out that said stabbing was kayfabe. It never happened. It was just basically an excuse to beat They just came up with that excuse to beat up the guy. It was like a cover story, and as soon as that came out, it's like the venue basically banned all wrestling shows at that venue because of it. You don't realize how important Berwyn Eagles Club is to like the independent scene. It's like, oh, many an independent show in Chicago runs through that has run through that building for like the past two decades plus. It's like Progress. Beyond Wrestling used to do that a lot. Yeah, that was like a second home for Beyond Wrestling. Freelance Wrestling used it, and GCW was about to use it, but because of the ban, they have to scramble and find another venue. It's basically, it just took away a great venue from a lot of promotions, a lot of talent from working, right? Through petty bullshit. It sucks to see, but does it surprise me? No, it doesn't really surprise me, because it's the sort of thing that you think they've grown past that. You hear that sort of thing more often, like in the 70s and 80s, and you hear tales of like the shindy stuff, where it's a whole lot of level of petty. It's like promoters screwing promoters, that kind of territorial shit, a whole bunch of chaos, and it's sad to see. It's like maybe one day they'll reinstate it, but for now, no. It's disappointing, actually. And chaos. Speaking of chaos, we're a week away from we're heading into WrestleMania, the granddaddy of them all, and they're juggling plates. They're juggling plates on the Titanic right now, in terms of some of their main event matches. It's adding Pat McAfee being surprised at the reaction about said thing. Now they're talking about pivoting from McAfee for SmackDown, which we'll see. I think the damage has been done already. Right? At this point, it's like the easiest thing is just straight forget it. Just open up with McAfee or whatever laid out like backstage, and he's not. They don't refer to it again. Just let it go. They'll find some way to screw it up, because it's still not. They're still not sold out. By the way. We're still not sold out. It'll probably be last minute. It'll be a last minute rush, but still, It should not have been that way. It should have been a slam dunk. They could, plus they have some certain matches that are trying to, they haven't even really announced yet. They're taking their time. Certain matches they haven't announced yet because they don't know the situation. They don't know the status of like certain other people. Because the concussion thing between Liv, for Liv, actually, yeah, that could put her out of Mania, I think. Because hematomas are not a joke, right? Headaches for a week, maybe 2, depending on the severity. Yeah, I would keep her out. And then again, I'm not a doctor. Thank God. For some people, they thank God. So, well, we'll see. We'll see come next week. I'm not really sure how it'll go. But yeah, let's rewind this down. So, thanks for tuning in. Right, if you want to support the boy, there's the obligatory merch shit. Right, if you want to check in on what shenanigans the Falcons Nest is up to, and the boys are up to. There's the Patreon show, and the more the merrier. Get in now because I have things are about to pop off. If a certain announcement next week is what I think it is, it's what I hope it is. Because honestly, I think of I thought this little do-it-yourself thing ended up being part of being observed by a worldwide audience. It's daunting, but it's cool. It's cool and daunting at the same time. So, one, be careful what you wish for. 2, make sure you make sure you've earned the trust that the boys have given to you for actually doing content like this. Right? You don't want to do something that to let the boys down. Well, you shall see what happens because the next $9 will probably end up being on after, or probably be on after next week after said announcement, maybe, because we'll see. I'll see you in a week.